YouTube. Hello good friends, we are back again with another video. We are preparing to do our Portswigger BSCP certificate, and we are in preparation to that. They have some labs that we thought we could be solving while trying to learn from each other. For those who don't know, Portswigger is a great company that's deal with web security, and they have a great academy where they share a lot of content on the different vulnerabilities that are there in the web application space. They are much centered into the web application, and for that we'll be going through some of the labs, if not all of them, just to learn from the labs. And I decided to start with SQL Injection, and for this video we're going to solve this lab where there's an SQL Injection vulnerability in the where clause. We'll see what's that. So before we get into the labs, it's a great thing to look into what is SQL Injection. The team at Portswigger have a great resource of what is SQL Injection, how to find and exploit these vulnerabilities, and how to prevent them. So on what is SQL Injection, it's our security vulnerabilities. So we are looking into a vulnerability that allows an attacker to interfere with the queries. So that's why it's called the vulnerability of the database, since an attacker is able to interfere with the queries that an application make to its database. We all know how applications work. There is a need for database to persist our data so that our website becomes dynamic rather. And now the SQL injection arises since when the application is interacting with the database, we need to do queries to the database to retrieve some important information from the database to verify what you need to see or what the user needs to see. And that's why the SQL injection vulnerabilities arise. This is because an attacker is able to interfere with the syntax of the SQL injection that fetches the data. So I'll going ahead and start a lab. You will need an account with Portswigger. Is their website URL. You'll need to have an account so that you're able to have an account where you can see your progress as you make solving these labs. And if you are familiar with this, that's great. So I'll copy my lab URL to my Bubsuite browser. This is so that we are able to see the HTTP requests that are made from your browser to the Portswigger lab backend. So let's see what this lab is required. The lab is that there's a SQL injection vulnerability in the where clause, allowing retrieval of hidden data. That's why SQL injection is very dangerous, since an attacker is able to view data, alter data that he or she is not supposed to do. So these labs contain an SQL injection vulnerability in the product category filter. They tell us where the vulnerability is, where the user selects a category and the application carries out an SQL query like the following. So whenever a user selects a category to view data, the application will make this query to the database. So this is SQL query, which is understood by databases. So this means select all. The star is select all from a table called products, where the where clause. Now is to define, instead of seeing all the products, we want to see the products where the category is equals to gifts. So this will be the category that the user selects from the front end that will be sent to the back end, and there is this, and release is equals to 1, meaning there is a filter to only show the products that have been released by the website or by the owner of the website. So to solve this lab, we are required to perform SQL injection attack that causes the application to display one or more unreleased products. So an attacker will come into the application and will want to interfere with this to show unreleased products. So let's get into it. So if you view our application, we're able to see some products, yes, and we have a filter here where you can filter all the products or accessories or clothing, shoes and accessories, lifestyle and tech gifts. We could pick, for example, the tech gifts, and you see, let us open a very useful feature for us here to see the request in real life. So once we selected on tech gifts, the application made a request to the backend. It is, the request URL was our lab / filter. Then there's a parameter category where we pass the name of the category that we need. So this was passed to the backend. It's our category, and the category was that, and our SQL injection was executed. So our tech gifts was substituted to where gift is, and we are able to see the tech gifts category and where all products have been released. Awesome. Also from our Bab suite, we're able to see this. Here's our request with the parameter category and what we are required to pass in the response. Now, since the lab requires to display all the unreleased products, one guide from Portswigger is on how to detect SQL is by the use of a single quote and look for errors or anomalies. So that's what we're going to try. So instead of our tech gifts, we're going to pass our quote, and we have an internal server error. Internal server error means something was broken. Although we are not able to see the SQL or the database error, we know there might be an SQL in this instance. So what happened when we passed our single quote, it was replaced at this place as gift. So at the end we ended having a quote which disrupted the whole SQL query. The syntax was spoiled, that's why this was returned, an error was returned. So to solve this, it's pretty easy. What we need is to, let's select lifestyle this time. So we know a quote will close our SQL. Then we need to have the plus sign for the space. Then we're going to have SQL payload that you can copy and try to use at any time. What this means is saying we are going to select a category which will be null, no category, or 1 is equals to 1, which means this will be evaluated, and since 1 is equals to 1, it means our SQL query will be valid, and we are commenting out the rest of the SQL. We are commenting out the last part so that we ignore this part. So we injected an apostrophe, we injected a comma, with or 1 is equals to 1, and that should do the magic in this case. Yeah, so this is, and we are able to solve the lab. So this is our payload that we injected. Instead of the required categories, we injected our payload, which is an apostrophe followed by or 1 is equals to 1, then we are commenting out the rest. So you see we are able to retrieve all the products, even those which are not released yet. So a small recap, SQL injection is a vulnerability to that happens or affects the database, and it's where an attacker is able to interfere with the SQL queries like we did by injecting malicious payload like this one, which affects the functionality of the application. So our payload was sent to the backend as this, and we are able to retrieve the products all. So that was it for our first video. Looking forward to solving more with you.